I made fun of Mr. Tim a few years ago for how emotional he got at softball. Now God's kind of showing me what was going on. Coach Dailey kind of stole some of my thunder, but we met back in 1995, and I was fairly cocky, and so was he. So I didn't like him at all. In fact, I didn't like would be a step up. I really did not like him at all. So we had several battles in there, played in the finals of everything for 4, 5, 6 years running. Each year we had about 40 games on our schedule apiece. We were breaking every rule known to mankind. You were only supposed to play 16 junior high games, and all of our banners were like 41-2. I'm like, why do we keep putting the record on those? But you could count tournaments as one game, so we would play like a tournament for 3 weeks. And then at the end, there wouldn't even be a trophy. It'd be like, who won? I don't know. I'd call Craig to see who won. He usually knew. Because one thing about it, if you started getting a lead on him, he would start calling folks out of the bleachers. He'd be like, you were playing the next game, but go get dressed. But I've known him as an adversary that I didn't like. Then he was an adversary that I kind of liked. And then he grew into what we consider a part of our family at the Ferrell house. Because one thing about him, after I got to know him, I figured out both of us were real similar in how we grew up. I don't know how many of you know, but he lost his mother at a young age. And that's always a tough thing. But both of us were basically born, kind of like I tell people, we were born into families that you got what you needed, but you never got what you wanted. So, we would get fed and we would be okay, but both of us were fairly roguish. So we're living proof that God has stepped in and had divine intervention and got us to where we are. But we were so competitive, and if we coached against each other tomorrow night, by the end of the first quarter, he would have a technical, I would have a technical, and we'd both have to go to church on Friday just to get back to zero. So I can't tell what an honor it has been for him to coach my son. And before I go, I want to talk about Mr. Frank just a second. Mr. Frank probably was one of the best supporters that I could have ever asked for. Because not only did he take care of me financially, but at a young age, I was probably given more power than needed as athletic director and a successful coach. And when you're 20-something, that's usually not a good combination for listening to the folks that are supposed to be your boss. And Mr. Frank would set me down from time to time and say, you might not want to be doing it that way. And Mr. Frank to me was kind of like E.F. Hutton. I don't know if you remember those commercials, but when Mr. Frank talked, I always listened. So I remember at Kirk one night, I was about to lose my job trying to beat the Kirk coach up. Mr. Frank come out on the court, and after Hoyt Johnson, I don't know how many of you know Hoyt Johnson, he's pretty strong. He wasn't having much luck with me. But when Mr. Frank come out there, my wife said, you turned around when he come out there. I said, Mr. Frank's wallet is a lot thicker than Hoyt is strong. So I went back to my end. Then I had to call Miss Fay and ask her to pray for me. I said, Miss Fay, I'm going to come over and let you pray for me. She said, if you'll shut up, I'll pray. So she prayed for me right there on the phone. And I'm convinced if there's anybody got a direct phone line to the big boss upstairs, it's Miss Fay. And if she doesn't, nobody else does. So she literally hand writes letters to everyone. It's not just a photocopy, you get the same one as everybody else. Your letter is specific to you and what's going on in your life, and you will not find that in a lot of places. But just to talk about the team right quick, this group of boys, this senior class for one thing, and the juniors behind them as well, they are a special group. Because you generally will not find kids that are willing to maybe take a lesser role so that the team can be successful. This football team, this basketball team, there were many players that could have been aggravated, could have been mad, could have maybe not liked their role, but you never saw that. You never saw that. And I used to drive home all the time talking about how maybe I would have used this football kid different or that football kid. But they always had a great attitude, and I think that's why the school's been so successful this year And it's why I think it'll be successful next year. It just has some quality kids right now in 11th and 12th grade. And I think you as parents can be proud of that. I'm going to go ahead. My wife and, well, you don't need me saying me at all. Whoa. I think that broke. Anyway, minus the broken glass, which we can get another. My bad, Shannon. It may not be hard for you to see why she had the broke leg. Since she was hiking with me. And since the last words I remember saying is jump over there. But I thought she had more disability insurance at the time. This single income family thing's not cool. Coach, with a glass in it eventually, I really wouldn't expect this to end any other way, to tell you the truth. It's not a Burnsville deer camp night till something gets broke. But anyway, we would like to thank you guys for all the support you've shown the team. We'd like to thank Miss Bridget and Miss Shannon for putting up with us through the years, because I can assure you, when we played each other, we did not come home in a good mood. Because I used to love talking to Delta players when they played for me on the All-Star team, and they would talk about the weeks we have to play y'all. We hate being around Coach Dailey. And then my players would always tell him how crazy I would act. So it's been a great run, 17 years. I feel like it's kind of an end of one thing and the beginning of another. Unfortunately, Miss Bridget has to work for me every day, so she has to hear the stories when I want to tell them. Me breaking that probably doesn't surprise her at all, to tell you the truth. But I want to thank each of you, all of you that have supported athletics over the years. The Brocks, I see them working so hard all the time. I usually feel bad. I'm going home feeling bad because they're still working. I'm usually over by the time I get through the gate, but you know, they work very hard. And a lot of people work very hard, as you have to do when you have a sports program like this. And I'm going to leave it to that and turn it back over to Coach Dailey.